Welcome to the Personal Development Essentials podcast. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with an extraordinary lady, a very energetic, positive woman. As a matter of fact, she's a positive psychologist, an international keynote speaker, and also a business mentor who empowers other women to step up and build their own business. So, Denise Mortimer, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure, really. I wanted to interview and speak with you since I met you at the Elite Network about a year ago when I saw your pace and enthusiasm, which was something very unique.
That's one way to describe it.
I told you earlier that I wasn't sure if I'll be able to keep up with the pace.
Okay, I do have just one speed and that's fast, but most people keep up anyway.
No, of course. I think the enthusiasm rubs off as well. So, Denise, do you mind if I ask with something that takes us a little bit back in your history? So, you were born in New York, is that right? And moved to the UK right. At some point unwittingly, as you said. So tell us a bit about this.
So I came to the UK just because I wanted to use it as a base to explore Europe. And I thought, London is a great hub. As you know, you can get everywhere from London. So I was just going to use it as a hub. But I came here and I met someone and I got married and then I had kids and then 1 year rolled into the next, into the next, into the next. And here I am 35 years later, still here.
Yeah, it's sometimes destiny takes over. I don't know if you agree with that.
I totally agree, yes.
I have interest in people that move and live to a different country than the one that they born in, because I've followed something like that myself from Greece 10 years ago. So it's always fascinating to see others that leave the boundaries of their home country or their hometown and go somewhere completely different.
Yeah, I agree. And I have so much admiration, especially when someone moves to a country where it's not their first language and they have to learn a new language. And under any conditions, whether they move from an affluent country to another affluent country, or from, moving out of a country that's maybe, war-stricken or poverty-stricken, and they move to a more, whatever the move is, when they learn to speak another language. I mean, I speak one language and I don't do that so good. So I have so much admiration. So I was in Amsterdam recently, and my Uber driver who was taking me to the airport, he said he wanted to travel more. And I said, well, just book a trip. And he said to me, I only speak 3 languages. And I said, well, how is that? How is that a problem? And he said, I need to speak at least 5 languages to travel. And I'm like, no, I speak 1 language and I've been all over the world. You don't need to speak more than 1 language.
Luckily, English is the language that is most likely to be understood around the world.
Yeah.
So, Denise, I wanted to ask you about some of the things that you do. I know that you do lots of things. You're a very busy entrepreneur. But what got my attention was your description of a fabulousness finder. So you say that you find the fabulousness in others when they can't see it for themselves. So tell us about this.
I think I've always had a knack for, I genuinely have an interest in people. And then after a couple of minutes of speaking to them, they'll just say something that strikes me as extraordinary, but ordinary to them. And then when I point out that it's actually extraordinary, they're like, oh, maybe it is. Because the things that we do that come naturally to us, we don't think of them as extraordinary, but to somebody else are extraordinary. So I seem to have a knack of pulling that out of people and getting them to value and appreciate that, and actually then encouraging them to act on that. Because chances are that's probably something they should be doing, using more to their advantage, because we don't always do jobs that, we don't always find work that works to our advantage. So I help people, push them towards what they most should be doing to fuel their soul.
And I think that most of us have the tendency to berate ourselves rather than seeing how magnificent we really are. We don't, we judge ourselves in the way that we would never judge someone else. We're too harsh on ourselves.
Yes, yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, we have something called a negativity bias. It's like an inbuilt, but it's like primitive. It's from, our old days, going back, to primitive man, where we had to protect ourselves. So we had to be looking for the faults, but now we don't have to be looking for those faults, but we have this natural inclination towards observing the negative and discarding the positive. And this is where we can now make decisions to focus more on the positive and create a more bulletproof mindset for ourselves.
It all begins there, doesn't it? With a mindset that controls the life that we live, really, and how we perceive everything.
Yeah, completely. And I think the older I get, the more I realize this. Like, I always knew that at a logical level, but really embodying it and understanding it and applying it in my life every day, I see how much of a difference it makes to the quality of my life.
Yes, what you said earlier about us getting older, you realize some things in a very different way. I'm starting to feel things like that being in my 40s myself, things that I never, let's say 5 years ago, I would never consider that they were. It is difficult to explain what I mean, but I think that people that go into a different way of understanding about themselves can realize that. And I wanted to ask you about, you had a turning point in 2017 in July. That's what you say in your story. So you had a big decision to make your mark. I want you to tell us about this. How were you before, and what was the catalyst?
So actually, probably the biggest decision was in November 2016, when I decided that I was going to finally start building the business that I'd been dreaming of forever. I mean, I gained so many qualifications over a number of years, and I didn't know how to translate those into a business. So I started in November 2016 the route to build my business. But July 2017 was, for me, it was, I made the biggest investment I ever made in a mentor. And I think, what I feel like? The more you invest financially, the more you invest mentally, spiritually as well. Like, I think the investment thing covers a whole range of things. And so by investing so heavily in this mentor, it was like a statement of, I'm investing this in, I want these outcomes. I want big things to happen. And that really was a turning point, because it transformed my business. I just decided I wasn't going to be playing a small game anymore. I wanted to play a bigger game. I wanted to really step up and run this business well.
Was it your mentor that helped you see that, or had you made a decision before you got a mentor?
I think it's a number of things. I think, you can't you can't just throw money at someone and expect them to resolve a problem for you. You've got to be in a state of readiness yourself. So it was the belief in me from the mentor, plus this person had already walked in my shoes. She'd already achieved things that I wanted to achieve. Mm-hmm. and my absolute drive to do it. So what I've encountered myself is that sometimes people invest money in me, and it's almost like because they've invested money, they think that I have a magic solution. I'm going to wave a magic wand and everything's going to be okay. It's investing the money and still knowing that you have to do the work. So using that mentor to get all the pieces of the puzzle and to help fit them together in a way that's going to enable your business to flourish.
Yeah, and I think many people will think of a mentor that it is someone that will do things for them, but it's not anything like that. You are the one that needs to take the action. The mentor can only guide you or show you the door, but you are the one that has to go through the door and do what you're meant to do.
Yes, and I like to refer to it, it's co-creating, because there's no blueprint as well. Like I had a conversation with someone recently, and she said to me, "Oh, you're not going to tell me exactly what to do?" And I'm like, "No, we're going to co-create. There's no blueprint for success. We're going to find it together. You're going to tell me what you want. I'm going to tell you what I know, and then we're going to put it together and create something amazing from it."
Yes, so that has led you to, I take it, to empower other women with your coaching business then.
Yeah, and I'm moving more towards what I'm finding. The women who are coming to me are, and I never really understood the term, but I get it now. They're real thought leaders. They're change makers. They're women who have a completely different spin on how they want to see the education system, how they want to see people perceiving themselves, how they want people to recover from relationships. So they've got a really unique way of doing things, and more these women are coming to me. So I'm excited about helping them create a way to get their message out into the world in a powerful way, because they've got such like they blow my mind. I think when I speak to my clients, I'm like, I want to hire you. I want to hire you. You're so good.
That is their fabulousness, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, like everybody needs to hire you. That's how I feel about them.
So you do, apart from business coaching, do you also do personal coaching or relationship coaching? I think you do different kinds of coaching.
Yeah, I do. It's very much focused on the business at the moment, but I wear a lot of different hats, and
I bet.
I wear a lot of different hats. Probably less relationship, more. And if there's anything to go along with the business stuff, it's normally about helping people believe in themselves. So it comes back to mindset. Everything, as we said before, everything begins with your mindset. So if someone's not getting the outcome they want, it's always, let's go back to the mindset work. Let's go back to the mindset work. In fact, I'm going to tell you something. I had a woman who hired me, and I ended up firing her as a client because she was so awkward to deal with. And she told me, I've done my mindset work and I know what I'm talking about. Like she'd done it, and she'd done it once and she knows it. And I'm like, it's a daily practice. It's not a one-time deal. And I just thought, I can't, she was getting angry at me for saying, we need to go back to the mindset. We need to go. I do it every day. All my mentors do it every day. Everybody who's successful does some sort of practice, but somehow she thought she was immune to it. No, you need to do it every day.
The mindset and the personal development, it's something that is ongoing. It's a spiral. It never ends. Sometimes absolutely. When people tell me that I know things, like that client that you say, they are either very wise or very foolish to say I know things. So, and I don't know many people that are that wise.
No, I agree, because everybody, even our heads of state, every single person, every successful athlete, singer, actor, financial wizard, like everybody has somebody that is mentoring them. And it might be that they're being mentored just through a book or just through videos or something, but there's always and there's always growth. There's always room for growth. And I think it's so important, especially as a mentor myself, it's so important for me to have mentors, because I have a limit to what I know, but I'm always getting these downloads from my mentors, and I become this like portal, like the information comes into me from my mentors and it goes straight out to my clients. So they're getting this like, it's just like straight through me and out to them. So, and I know that I'm at the top of my game, and I can keep them at the top of their game.
That's great. Denise, let's talk about something else that I know you're very passionate about, and that's people that live their lives without fulfilling their potential. So they live unfulfilled lives. So
yeah.
Why are you so passionate about that? Tell me that first of all.
It makes me angry. It makes me angry when people don't fulfill their potential, because not only is it good for them, but it's their duty as a member of the human race to do it, to live in, because we're all gifted in some ways, but we have all these cultural impositions put on us, like these layers of expectations. And unless we challenge them, because those expectations are not always consistent with the truth of who we are. And our job is to throw back the layers, reveal the truth of who we are, and live into that. And it's not that people get afraid, oh, I'm going to lose friends. You're going to actually gain the people who appreciate what you bring to this life. And your only job is in birthing the truth of who you are and allowing that to shine through. It's an obligation. It's like if people want another obligation, that's their obligation, to reveal the truth of who they are and live the best version of themselves without worrying about comparing and social media. Oh, this person's got more than me. They've been to more places. Whatever you're meant to be doing, it's like, listen to what your inner guidance system is drawing you towards, and just allow that to unfold piece by piece.
Absolutely. I like the way you describe it. I refer to that same thing as our divine purpose, the reason why we're here. And it's always something very much bigger than what we normally do with our routine every day with our lives. Have you always been thinking in such a way about fulfilling and connecting with purpose?
No is the short answer. And I think when I was 29 years old, I was divorced, and I started thinking for myself. Like, I grew up thinking, letting my father tell me how to live, letting my sisters tell me how to live. Then I got married and I let my husband tell me how to live. And then I got divorced and I discovered Tony Robbins, and I discovered, wow, this is cool. I could think for myself. It opened up a whole new way of being in the world. And the more I studied that and applied it to myself and then observed other people, I started seeing how they were stuck in the same thing I had been stuck in. And so I could point it out to them, whether they wanted me to or not. I could point it out. I could point it out to them because I was like, wow, that's an interesting perspective. I could see how they were locked in. I'm really good at picking up on limiting beliefs. Like when people speak, I'm like, oh, I can see it. I'm like, and so I challenged it. And the more I did that, the more I was like, you're stopping yourself, and I can give you a solution to how you can stop stopping yourself and start living a life that's more, I can't do that. I'm too old. I can't do that. No one in my family's ever done that. I'm always broke. Oh, it's not the right time for me. Like so many excuses, and I can see right through it. I have X-ray vision.
Yeah, it's the way we talk to ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which can be very, very limiting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to turn, I think, no, the lighting is no good. I'm going to leave the light. Maybe
That's okay. Sure. No, that's great. In terms of the positive psychology,
Yes.
can you explain what that is for some people that may have not heard the term positive psychologist?
Great. Yes. So positive psychology is a relatively new branch of psychology. I graduated with my master's degree 10 years ago, and it's kind of, I think around like 85 or something like that, it started gaining momentum. Traditional psychology looks at what's wrong with people and how we can correct what's wrong with people. And positive psychology is about what's right with people. It's about, how can we build resilience? It's about post-traumatic growth rather than post-traumatic stress. Like, you think someone who's lost their legs in an explosion goes on and wins a Paralympic gold medal. People who make the best out of situations. It's about practices that enable us to be happier in our life. There's two ways we can be happy in life. One is called hedonic happiness. It's like eat good food, oh, you feel happy, or you're dancing and you feel happy. And then there's eudemonic happiness, which means like having a sense of purpose in life. So it's looking for how do we fulfill ourselves. And sometimes when we're looking for a greater purpose in life, like we're contributing to society in some way, every day is not ecstatically happy, but you're working for a greater purpose. So, hedonic happiness is happiness in the moment. Eat good food, dance, like enjoying yourself in the moment. But the eudemonic is like longer term, and it gives you that opportunity to have a sense of contribution, a virtuous life that you're contributing to the world in a positive way. So positive psychology looks at all aspects of how we can enhance our well-being.
That's brilliant. And I like the terms hedonic and eudemonic that you said. I had never thought of it like that. I have being Greek, I have the privilege to understand these words, even though I have never heard them before, but I know what they mean. So it makes complete sense to me.
And well, Greece is the place where so many amazing creations and words and thought processes and great thinkers have originated from. So what does eudemonic mean to you?
Wow, okay. That means that I will translate it very loosely, that your spirit is happy.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Yes.
And hedonic has to do with more of the pleasures of the flesh or the physical pleasures.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you said, food or dancing or, doing those kinds of things.
Yeah, kind of indulging in the moment, indulging in that moment. Fantastic, yeah. And eudaimonia is that sense of, beautiful. Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to I remember when I met you, you were talking at the Elite Network in Chelmsford, which I always have always say that it is Will Poston, this great guy that organizes that, and I'm very privileged to have to know him. So in that speech that you gave at the Elite Network, you were talking exactly about how to implement positive psychology to live a happier life. And you said something at that time which made a big impression on me, because I've never heard that before. It was something about the imprint that we have during our childhood that determines to a large extent our happiness. So I want you to talk to us about this.
So first and foremost, I'm not an absolute expert on this, but what I do know is that we have in our early years, it can be from 0 to 11 years old. It's roughly about 7 years old. where if you think of our mind as a blank canvas,
yes,
and we start to sort of paint a picture on there. So everything that happens in those years form the basis of our subconscious thinking. And so if you look at it this way, everything that happened at 7 years old, be it good or bad, we'll have made a decision whether it was good or bad.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes we give meaning to something completely out of context because we have an immature mind. We can only make a decision based on our immature mind. But this is almost like a flaw in humans. So we then take that as the truth. That becomes, it's almost like imprinted in our brain that's the coding.
Mm-hmm.
So then we respond to the world based on what happened up to 7 years old. So when you're having an argument with somebody, you're at odds with someone, your 7-year-old is fighting with their 7-year-old. And the way that we overcome that is to, I think we all have to do some subconscious work to reformat, to recode. It's not erasing things, but it's allowing you to let go of what you think is the truth, because you're carrying around an old, it's like using, remember the old computers used to be giant computers, or even phones. Yeah. Like, it's like we don't upgrade our thinking. We upgrade our homes, we upgrade our cars, we upgrade our phones, we upgrade our laptops, but we don't, not all of us, but most of the population don't upgrade their thinking.
Yeah.
Because they're not aware that they're coming from this, what was imprinted when they were a child. And that's running the show for them. That's running 90% of their decisions that are making every day.
Exactly. Yeah, it is the fixed mindset that most people have, rather than being able to grow their mindset and realize that I can reprogram those things that are in my mind that don't necessarily have to be like that because I have been like that. Denise, can you offer some, let's say, techniques or ways that we can use to change these kinds of thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the lazy man's way to reprogram your mind, first and foremost, is so easy. It's just go on YouTube and get some meditations.
Okay.
Get a meditation. There's so many meditations out there. It's just like we're so blessed with an abundance of ways that we can reprogram ourselves. You can literally put a headset on, go to sleep, and listen to something. There are meditations for everything. So if you want to feel more confident, if you want to feel more sexy, if you want to feel slimmer, if you want to be slimmer, if you want to feel more abundant, just put on a meditation. And meditation is so good. It literally restructures your brain because you're wired to respond in a particular way. Mm-hmm. And you need to hear something repeatedly. So, the tip being, take up a meditation practice, but make sure that you are consistent with it, because the reason if you're getting outcomes that you don't want, the reason you're getting outcomes you don't want is because you keep repeating a pattern from your childhood, from those imprint years. You're telling yourself the same story over and over and over and over and over again. And so the way to combat that is to tell yourself a new story over and over and over and over again. You have to, repetition is the key to mastery. You didn't build a negative belief from thinking one bad thought. You built a negative belief from the constant referral to that point. Oh, this always happens to me. This is always bad. This is always wrong. This always means this. So repetition is the key. So meditation is the number one. And then I would say finding an affirmation, like creating a daily practice where you affirm something to yourself. But one of the keys of affirmation is to say it like you believe it, mm-hmm. because emotion is key to your cells believing it, because everything is energy and your cells have to believe you, Like you can't just go look in the mirror and go, oh, I'm beautiful, I'm successful, I'm confident. You have to like go, you know, I am successful, I am super confident, I'm super. And another thing I would really suggest is people look up EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, and you can tap in some positive, you know, I'm amazing, I'm happy, I'm confident, I'm amazing, I'm happy, I'm confident. And these, I don't know that much about it. I know it's like meridian points on your body, but I do know that it works. It's like an incredible tool. So highly recommend EFT.
That's actually something I'm going to look up for myself as well, because
Great. And it's so easy to do. Again, on YouTube, you can just find all the things on YouTube to.
Nowadays, yeah, you can find the knowledge is there. It's not an issue of lack of information. We have probably more information than we need, and it's at our fingertips. It's, do we actually implement the information? I think that's what holds most people back from.
You know, I agree. And I think that's one of the reasons people work with mentors as well, because to be honest, there's nothing you can't find. If you could Google anything, but it's the accountability. It's like, you've got that information. What are you going to do with it now? Or the other reason I think people need to work with mentors is, you've got the information, but how does it fit together? What do you do first? What do you do second? So, but yeah, everything, there's nothing you can't find on Google. And I tell that to my clients. They'll ask me a question. I'm like, if I don't know the answer, I'll be like, Google it. Google it. And when you find the answer, share it with the rest of the group.
That's great. And Denise, coming back to the mentoring that you said, I understand that you are launching, or you have launched an online mentorship course.
Yes.
Tell us about this, and what kind of people should be thinking about doing something like this.
So this is, I've revised it recently. It was a 6-month program, but I've condensed it into a 9-week modular program. And it's ideal for people who have just finished qualifications and they're ready to start a business. What I find, Aggie, is so many people invest in qualifications, but they don't know what to do with them afterwards. And unless you channel that into a business, you've got clients over here who need you. You got you over here with all this information, and you've got the mentor, which acts as the portal to give you access to your clients, to teach you how to it's like a communication channel. Let's take everything you've learned and let's create it into a business opportunity now. So you can actually go and serve the people. So that it's ideal for people who are keen to translate their qualifications into a business and don't know where to begin. I work mostly with online people who want to come into the online space, but I can also teach people how to get, generate leads and create clients from speaking events, how to craft a speech that will engage the audience so that people would want to work with them. So it's offline and online, but primarily my business has been built online. So I teach people how they can build their business, and mostly through Facebook.
That's great. Does it have to be some specific kind of business, or could it be any kind of business?
So it's service based. So I don't do product based. So It's about, so maybe they're healers, maybe they're therapists, maybe they're counselors, consultants. So it's people who are just delivering a service rather than a product to the.
That's great. Thank you for clarifying that. And Denise, how can people connect with you and ask you questions for what we've talked about and more?
So they can, on Facebook, I'm Denise Mortimer, or the Fabulous Finder. They can find, I think I'm the only Fabulous Finder on Facebook, out of all the billion people on there. Alternatively,
very unique.
They can email me at denise@denisemortimer.com, and I'm happy to take any inquiries through my email.
That's great. I'm very happy and very thrilled to have spoken with you, Denise. It has been a very, as I told you in the beginning, I like the pace and your energy, and it rubs off. So I feel much more energetic now than I was before before we started the conversation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best with your endeavors, Denise.
Thank you, and same to you. I'll see you again at the Elite Network.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye-bye.